The congregation is the church. This is a building. And as we learned when Cedar flooded, things happened to buildings. In the wake of the tornadoes in Joplin, several churches there were decimated, hospitals were destroyed, and the people are what continue on.
We felt that with the diminishing congregation that we had, we realized that we just could not support this building longer, and it really wasn't an economical structure for us as a church. The cost of this building, of course, increased due to heating costs. We were on the city steam until the flood of 2008. The cost of that went up remarkably when they were furnishing steam after the flood. So we had to put in 2 water heaters to replace the city steam, and that was, of course, fairly expensive. But the cost of heating and maintenance has sometimes gotten as high as 25% of our total budget. The building has been a very costly building.
This place is loaded with space, and it is adequate for at least 400 people. And we hate to leave it, but time marches on.
It was a tough one to make the decision to sell the church. Pros and cons, but we knew it had gotten to the point where it needed to be done. And we talked about it, and we just decided it was time to do it. There was no growth in this area.
This building is something that's held the people together. And I think perhaps from a spiritual viewpoint, the building is probably the last thing we should hang on to as a spiritual thing, because there's no spirit in a brick building. It's just the people that are important. And we people need to recognize that the building isn't the important thing. That's been a hard thing for me to recognize, because I love this building. I've had a lot of, as I said earlier, memories in this building. When the opportunity came to realize that the medical community was expanding, and that we had lost our congregation, and we had brought in the Cedar congregation as a sharing group, for they had lost their church in the flood. And we thought this is a good time for us to sell the church, and because they had done the same thing, and merge our congregations and move outward, where the demography and the potential for taking the message of the gospel to a new and growing community. Sometimes the media gets a little off center when they are urged by historic preservationists to want to preserve everything at all costs, and they sometimes, too often perhaps, take sides with that, and don't realize that it's probably the best for the community and the overall. 50 years from now, the medical community will be a whole lot more important than this building.
For us, it's just not good stewardship of our finances to keep a building where the congregation's getting older, the size is currently dwindling, and we can use the money to do something so much more. And it is regretful, because it is a beautiful building, but we know God is in the people, not in the place.